Welcome to this episode of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. I'm Jessica Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and I am really excited to dig down into today's episode. Well, Poddies, I have just done my second ever Ocado shop. For those of you in the US, you probably don't know who Ocado is, but here in the UK, they are what I would call an upmarket grocery delivery service. And I've wanted for years, this is how sad I've become as I approach 30. For years, I have been really wanting Ocado to start delivering in our area, and they haven't, because they haven't had one of their chain supermarkets around and lots of different things, and so they haven't been able to deliver to us. And recently they decided they could, and I was so excited. Honestly, it was like one of the best things that has happened all year. I was like, oh my goodness, the year that I'm 30, Ocado are starting to deliver. And then realized how old I sounded and realized I also should probably get some hobbies. But anyway, there is a point to this. It was so interesting because when Sam is away, we all know I don't cook. I am not very good at it. I don't enjoy it. And as a result, it also means that quite often I just miss out on shopping, like supermarket shopping, for weeks and weeks and weeks. I have literally been known to go 6 weeks without having to shop at a supermarket, which, by the way, I think is pretty impressive. So if anyone can beat that, please email in, let me know. How long have you managed to go without doing a supermarket shop? But anyway, just before Sam left, he was like, I'm going to make these really nice meals. And Sam likes to cook exotic food. And so he was putting together a Scandinavian menu for one of the nights before he was deployed. I was very excited about this, but we needed some very specific ingredients. And this is kind of how I stumbled upon the fact that Ocado were actually delivering in our area. Because when I started searching for a specific type of vinegar, don't ask, they came up as saying, yes, we have that and we deliver in your area. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is brilliant. Now, the reason that I am so obsessed now and that I'm a regular customer and that I'm so happy that I've actually gone and done an online shop today, check me out, is that the experience is so good. And there are a few things that just make the experience really, really good. One is the fact, and it's a real basic, that they email you your receipt with the ability to edit your order on the email receipt. That's just phenomenal. You know, that's really, really good. They also text you and email you and let you know if your order is going to have any substitutions on the day that it arrives. I know. How cool is that? And the bit that I love the most, okay, there are two bits that I love the most. One is that they also text you on the day and let you know who is delivering your order and in what kind of van. Mine was Richard in the cabbage van, which I really liked. That entertained me. But actually my favorite thing is that they are incredibly planet friendly. And they have this scheme where if you return any plastic bags to the driver, so they don't have to be from Ocado, they can be from any supermarket or just any shop. But if you return any plastic bags, they will let you return up to £1's worth of plastic bags, and they will give you 5p off of your order for each one that you return. And I just think, you know, as a millennial, that hits all the spots for me. One, it's really convenient. Two, the customer service was really, really good. The guy couldn't have been more friendly. You know, the whole experience was really easy. I knew that there were no substitutions on my order, so I didn't have to go out and get anything before it arrived. It got here on time. And then the whole healthy planet thing. And it's just a real key reminder to me that when we are selling, when we are providing a solution, sometimes we can get so caught up in the price of it that we can be, you know, thinking, oh, well, how can we make it worth more? Or how can we charge less for what we provide because other people are charging less? It's not about what you sell. It's about the experience that you give, and it's about the problem that you solve. And for me, Ocado solve two big bugbears in my life, one of which is convenient shopping that I don't have to get trolley rage for, and the other, which is having to deal with really poor customer service. There is literally nothing on the planet that is worse than bad customer service, apart from obviously plastic, which, you know, they're also trying to help with. So Ocado, win, win, win. If you aren't using them, you should. Go and check them out in your area. No, I'm not being paid by Ocado to say that. If I was sponsored by Ocado, that would be brilliant, but sadly not. Anyway, moving into today's episode, and it's a bit of a sad one, actually, Poddies. It's not sad as in that I'm going to cry or anything like that, but it's not a tale of woe. But sometimes things naturally have to come to a finish in your business. And today I want to share with you one of the things that's recently come to an end in my business and how I managed it, how I made the decision, and just really what I'm planning on doing next to fill that gap. So I want to preface this with, this episode has not been recorded and will not be aired, or it's not possible for it not to be aired, because obviously I will only air it after I've recorded it, which will be after I've told my clients, which is the important bit. So this episode has been recorded after the people in this situation know. And I think that's really important, because when we close anything down, we have to make sure our first and foremost responsibility is to the people who are still involved in it. So I'm just going to share a little tale and some learning outcomes about why I recently decided to shut down my private membership. Da, da, da. Ooh, cue all of the sounds and all of the feels. So in a time where literally everybody that I see online is touting get a membership, why did I decide to close mine down? And why did I decide to close it down when, you know, it actually had members and was doing relatively well? There are a few answers for this, and I want to share all of the reasoning behind it with you guys. I've already shared it with my amazing dotties, who, by the way, I have to give a shout out here for, and I'll explain a bit later in the episode more into this particular reason, but it's not often that you come across a group of women anywhere who are not bitchy or cliquey or, you know, secretly competitive. And over the last 2.5 years, I've been fortunate enough to create and host and lead a community of women just like that. And when I went into the community and I made this particular announcement, I was not concerned that there would be a backlash, because I don't feel like that's how my community really react when I change things. I try and be pretty transparent about everything I do in my business. But I was definitely worried that I was going to hurt or upset or worry my clients, and I didn't want to do that. And I have to say, without a doubt, that the support and honestly the genuine outpouring of love and support and just, I don't know, just all that is good with humans in the world was an absolutely phenomenal experience. And it came at a time where, you know, they could have really focused on the negatives. They could have really focused on what they would have preferred to have happened, but they didn't. They supported me through the closure of something that was really important to them. And I've had so many emails and messages and posts in the group and live streams in the group since I made the announcement that have been completely heartfelt in their desire to express that the community itself has been amazing for them, that they're really excited with how we're going to manage the transition process. And nobody has turned around and said, Jess, you are a terrible business owner and you should not have made that decision. And I just think that deserves a real shout out, because it deserves a shout out to all of us. And I want to highlight that as a business owner. There's a shout out to the community there, because those are the people, they are generous, they are kind, they care. And should you ever hire somebody who is a member or was a member of the Dotties, you will find some of the most hardworking, loyal, driven geniuses on the internet. And some of that, in a totally non-humble brag way, goes to me as the leader of my community. And I can say that as somebody who has led that community and who has been told on transitioning it, because I don't want to say ending it, that it's also a part of how I've built that community and cultivated those people and attracted those amazing people into that space. And that's something I'm incredibly grateful for. So if you are a Dottie and you are listening, I want to say a massive thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the grace with which everybody handled it, and the fact that you watched me accidentally, inadvertently snotty cry on a live stream, because it was a little sadder than I expected. Okay, so let's walk through. Why shut a membership? Why shut a form of recurring revenue? Well, like I say, there were a few reasons for me. One of them was that at the beginning of this year, we started to see a shift in the membership itself in terms of people leaving. And I wrote a few social media posts about it, actually. So if you've seen them, you'll know how I felt about it. I felt really good. People were leaving because they were outgrowing the membership. They were, hitting their 5K months. They were moving on. They were working with some amazing people and clients of their own and setting up their own recurring revenue spaces. And that was awesome. The thing was, I didn't really have the time, energy. I was going to say inclination, but that's not true. I didn't have the time or energy to want to go out and launch and get more people into the membership. And you might think, oh, that's a really weird thing. Like, why would you not want to replace revenue? And in all honesty, right from the beginning, and this is a key point here, right from the beginning, I've always said I never wanted a membership site. I accidentally created the Dotties one day. It's been a huge part of my business for 2.5 years, and I've loved running it. But I never really wanted one. It's always for me been a passion project. And so when people started to leave, I didn't really worry all that much. I figured that in the Dotties, we've been through many periods of organic growth, and either we would grow again or we wouldn't. And perhaps that was short-sighted, okay? And this is one of the key mistakes that I made as a salesperson. I didn't sell more spaces. Now you can look at it and see it how you want. You can say I was creating space for other opportunities, or that, I was waiting for something else to come along. And those aren't true either, if I'm honest. To be fair to me and to the community, it was just that I've never been bothered by how many people are in there. I'm doing it because it's a passion project. And that was my first reason for realizing that it had to shift and change in some way. Because creating a passion project means that you can also give people a space that they can play small in. And I want to be very clear, like that's not a reason for closing the Dotties. Everybody in there is somebody who challenges themselves on the daily. But you end up creating something that you cater to, and you almost set an unrealistic expectation for other people who want to go ahead and create that. And that was some of the feedback that I'd had over the 2.5 years. Jess, you give so much. Like, if I set up a membership, how am I going to do the hot seats and the live streams and the one-to-one laser sessions and the meetups and the, time that you spend answering every individual question in the group every single week? And that's an unrealistic expectation for my clients, for the majority of the world. And it was something that I was doing because, again, passion project. I wanted to. I had created this space where people could come who potentially had been burnt by other coaches, who could actually learn in a safe space, network with some incredible women, and just make a real proud, bold move in their business. But in creating that and in running it the way that I had also created this unrealistic expectation that my clients would have to do the same things if they decided to create their own membership sites. And that was wrong. That was wrong. I'm not going to take blame for it, because actually it's been a great feature of running the Dotties, and absolutely I get to spend a ton of time with amazing women that I love working with. And I know everybody and everybody's business, and I sit down with them every single quarter for a one-to-one, and that just makes me happy. But it's not a realistic expectation to give to my clients who, if they want to make a primary membership model, they can't do all that for £45 a month. Like, you just can't. You don't make any money. There is no profit in it. Okay. The second thing was that the community had gotten progressively quieter because we'd had people leave. And so what was happening was that we had these leavers, so it wasn't as noisy, but then also we were having people move into these other offers. And so they were outgrowing the membership. They were moving into things like Evolve. They were moving into offers like my mastermind, or even cash creation, or a multitude of those offers. We have certain people in my membership who have bought literally everything that I've ever sold, and I appreciate them. You would not believe how much I appreciate them for that, for sticking with me on the journey and continuing to do so. They refer to themselves as the Jessaholics, which I love, and I may make badges for them. But we had this quieter community. And the thing that I realized as I saw the community becoming quieter was that I could either force engagement, I could make people do things, I could be in there trying to start conversations, or I could think about what my people actually needed. And the big recognition or the the moment of clarity, the lightning bolt that I say doesn't exist. That revelation for me was that the reason the Dotties had been so successful was because of the community that had been created. And as we were starting to see people move out of that community and into other communities like Evolve, like the Mastermind, like Cash Creation, it meant that it was quiet and that it wasn't doing the job anymore. And I realized that what was best for my people was to move them somewhere that they had that sense of community again, that they could have those interesting conversations, that support, that network, that debate. And that was really, and is really, really important to me. Community is everything. In the way that I build my business and the way that I run my business, community is everything for me. Relationships are everything for me. It's the reason that I strive to spend as much time with all of my clients as I possibly can at every stage of the sales cycle. And so the revelation for me that actually there was something that wasn't benefiting them in the right way, because it was going to start severely lacking that community aspect, meant that I needed to change. And it was at that moment that I needed to make a decision about whether or not I kept my membership in its current format. And I decided against that. And I'm going to tell you what it will look like in a minute, so you can see how exactly I worked through the process. But I decided that it wasn't working its current format. And the only way to make it work was, to encourage that sense of community, which I couldn't guarantee having the ability to do. Most of the members had been part of the Dotties for, like I say, 2.5 years plus. We have very low turnover until the beginning of this year when people started to outgrow it. And so for me, I needed to make that decision. Now, I think it's worth pointing out here that most business owners, when they think about, do I get rid of a revenue stream? That's what they think about. Okay, how can I replace that revenue before I do it? Okay, how can we make that money somewhere else? Okay, is this a good financial decision? Revenue I can't say it wasn't a part of my decision, because I'm a sales coach. Like revenue, I think about it a lot. As a percentage, it was the smallest on this list. Okay, so it was the smallest percentage for 2 reasons. One, because the Dotties was a complete loss leader, right? The amount of time and energy and effort that I put into the community and the content and everything like that meant that it wasn't going to make a profit. The amount of time that my team spends, because they're amazing, on resetting passwords and helping people log in and, arranging one-to-one sessions, arranging hot seats, going in and looking after like tagging and stuff. It doesn't make money. It's a passion project. And so whilst I took that into account, I'm like, right, okay, well, it doesn't make money. We also have to look at the upsells that have come from people who've been in the Dotties, from a realistic perspective over the last 2.5 years. Many, many, many Dotties have upgraded into other programs. They have gone into the Taking the BS Out of Business course that I ran with Heather Gray last year. They have gone into Podcasting That Pays, my joint program with Scott Doucette. They have gone into my signature program, Cash Creation. They've gone into my high-level mastermind. They are in Evolve. Every single program, course, event, group intensive, one-to-one offer, I have had a Dottie, if not 10 Dotties, participate in over the last 2.5 years. And the upsell rate has been phenomenal. The thing was, though, that, because we spend so much to keep it running in the way that it does, and I spend so much time in there, like I say, loss leader, great upsells. But the other reason that revenue wasn't the big driver here was because, again, I'm somebody who's driven by making good money, right? And what I mean by that is making the kind of money that A, pays my bills, allows me to have a nice life, shop with Ocado, woo-hoo, and B, lets me sleep at night because I know I'm doing the right thing. And as I started to think about what was going on in the situation in my membership, I had to be honest with myself and say, this isn't what I created. This isn't what I wanted for my community. And that meant that the money I was getting was becoming something that I didn't want to take in integrity. I'm like, right, okay, well, this doesn't feel good because, I feel like the experience has shifted and I want them to have something that is better. So I asked myself a really hard question, and actually, the question kind of was born out of a conversation I had with my coach, Ali, when I said to her, this isn't working and I don't know what to do about it. And, this is the situation. And I think actually the best thing I can do to serve my community at the highest level is to in some way end or transition the membership. And she said to me, well, you have two options. You can either, you can drag it out. You can kind of just let people leave and let people pay you as long as they want, and then they leave. And we both agreed that's not the right option for anyone, but especially not me, who's kind of like, I sell from integrity and I would not be able to sleep at night having that experience. Or the other option was for me to step up as a leader and to be really transparent about the situation that had been created and give people an alternative option. And that's the one that I decided to choose. I would like to point out, people often talk about being a leader as being like this huge thing. They're like, oh yeah, you can be a thought leader and it's going to be so awesome and people are going to listen to all the things you say. And there are lots of perks, right? In being a leader, you get to speak at some really cool events, you get a lot of free stuff. I don't know why that is, but you do. If you speak at an event, you get a lot of free stuff. And you get some really amazing opportunities that perhaps you don't get at the beginning of your business. In fact, I know you don't get, because I didn't get any of them at the beginning of my business. The downside to being a leader is that you have to make a lot of decisions, and sometimes you have to make decisions that people really aren't going to like, and you have to deal with the fallout of those decisions. And so on the day that I decided to announce that I was doing this, I made the group aware. I put an event into the group on, I think, a Friday afternoon, scheduling in a live stream from me talking about the fact that we're going to be some changes to the community on the Monday. So enough people could see it and have time to plan it into their diaries to attend. And we had a really high attendance on that live stream, which I was simultaneously grateful for and terrified by before I made the announcement. So what happened there? Well, I was as honest as I could have been. I explained all the reasons in probably a less coherent way than I've just explained to you about why now was the time to transition the membership into something different and why I had to do it and how I'd come to the decision. I really believe in being transparent with my communities, and I value the people in there, and they have a right to know. If I'm going to change something, they have a right to know why I'm doing it and the reason behind it. And then came the hard part, which I think as salespeople, again, we all have to remember, is how do you keep your customers happy? If you decide to shut down an offer, how do you make that okay? What is the reasonable response? How do you ensure that people don't think, oh my God, I got really shortchanged? That was really hard for me. I didn't exactly know. When I made the decision, a week beforehand, I didn't know what that was going to look like. And it took me a good few nights, I would say, and glasses of wine, but I prefer to think about important decisions sober. And I really had to dig deep and think about what would I as a customer really appreciate? And so the decision that I came to was that for all my monthly paying members and for everybody in the membership, that I was going to run the membership as it was until September the 1st. So everybody would get 3 months worth of hot seats, of one-to-one laser coaching sessions, of my help and attention in the group. And I'm happy, I'm genuinely so excited about this, to do that until September and to carry that through, because I love it. And all the monthly members had to do was continue paying their monthly payments up until September the 1st. Then as of September the 1st, they would have complete access to everything in the portal for life, for free, full stop. Okay. That felt good for me. That felt fair for me, that I was not, in my own mind, cheating people out of an experience or out of content that could genuinely be valuable. And so that's the decision I made. Monthly members pay up until September and then have the content for free for life. The second group of people that we have, though, are our annual members who, they pay an annual fee and they get longer dotty calls every quarter. And some people had recently renewed. And so I wanted to make sure that they also felt good about the transition that was coming. And so I made the offer for all annual members, for anybody who had either recently renewed or people who were due to renew between June and September, that they could either choose to renew their annual subscription and that they would get access to the one-to-one calls, 45 minutes with me per quarter for the next 12 months. They wanted to renew and they just wanted my eyes on their business every single quarter for the next 12 months, they could. They also had the option to downgrade to being a monthly member until September and then keep access to the content for life. And then the final option they had was that if they wanted to put the annual subscription towards something else that I offer, they could do that too. So I worked really hard to try and make it as easy as possible. And then I explained the transition. What would we be doing next with the membership? Because obviously I don't want a membership, but I do want something to help people hit their first 5K in business. And for me, that looks like a course, that looks like a sprint. And so what I said and explained to the people in the Dotties was that I would be creating something, you know, from the pieces that we already have in the Dotties, but also from some other stuff that I've been working on and will be working on over the summer. So by the time you listen to this, I'll be head down doing that. But using that to create a step-by-step, this is how you make 5K a month program that would be run in 6-week sprints once a quarter. And that every single Dottie who remained in the membership until September 1st would also have access to that for free for life. They could join any sprint they wanted forever. So if they want to do 10 sprints, if they're making 50K a month and they still want to come in and do a 6-week sprint in like 2020, they can. And that to me felt good because I work better like that. I think there's something about a membership, and I'm not talking about the Dotties here. I think we have to have that caveat, is that the Dotties for me was amazing, is amazing because of the community that is there, because of the network, the relationships that are created. It's almost like the content is a happy byproduct. And, you know, as a business owner, sometimes that's not what you want to say about your, or one of your offers, but actually it was one of the most valuable parts. And I think we have to honor that. We have to be honest about it. But the other thing is that I believe memberships require a lot of self-motivation. And I think that's really hard. Maybe I'm just not that self-motivated. I don't know. But I think that it's very, very difficult to get up every day and think, okay, I'm going to have to go and post in a forum and, you know, other people may or may not be working. And I'm going to have to be self-motivated enough to consume the content on my own. And I'm going to have to ask questions on my own. And that puts a lot of pressure on people. And I've been in memberships and I've used nothing other than the communities, you know, to get to know people and things like that. And I didn't want to contribute to that, you know, because my people deserve the best. My community deserve to be flying at the tops of their industry. And I don't want to contribute to a, you know, a plain small atmosphere or something where you can just kind of, you look every month and you see the money going out and you think, oh God, what am I paying for now? Because I'm not using it. Instead, I want communities that are vibrant, that are full of people who are for 6 weeks committed to, right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make my first 5K month. Here I go. And have the support of awesome, phenomenal, you know, completely ambitious, driven women with a wicked sense of humor and a ton of Ryan Gosling gifts, because that's also what we do in Jotties. And that for me feels much better. So that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing out a course. I think I'm going to call it the 5K roadmap. I don't know yet. But if you want to be on the wait list for it, if you want something that is going to be, and I'm going to throw it out there, it's going to be at the lower end of the old price point, and you want to make your first 5K month, there is a wait list URL in the show notes, and you can go and you can join that. And when I'm ready to name it, because it's currently June and I haven't named it yet, and I haven't figured out or written a sales page for it yet. But in August, when this goes live, you will be able to sign up to the waitlist and you can see it for yourself. You can choose if you want to have your first 5K month, you can choose to come along and get involved, you know, with some really, really awesome people and make a ton of money, which is always good. So I make the announcement, I try and make the best decisions for my customers, and then I get off the live stream. After, by the way, everybody was super supportive. There was nothing but love. And, you know, that was a really lovely, and that sounds really sad, doesn't it? It's a really lovely thing. It doesn't express how grateful I am. But, you know, I talked to my coach, obviously, beforehand about the situation. And she said, you've got to be prepared for the backlash. Like, you're going to upset some people. And, you know, some people aren't going to take it well. And I thought, well, no, I don't think that of my community. But I prepared myself anyway, steeled the old ovaries. And it wasn't. Everybody was just really great about the decision and really supportive of me moving forward. And I wrapped up the live stream by saying that if anybody had any questions, you know, I'd answered a few anyway, but if anybody had any questions, or they wanted to express how they felt in the group, whether it was a good thing, whether they were, okay, great, this is going to be awesome, we're transitioning to something new, we're going to get all this cool stuff, whether they were sad about what was going to be left behind, or even whether they were angry at me and the situation that I had created. I wanted them to be able to let me know in the group, to do that openly and honestly. And, some people might think that I'm crazy, because who wants to put themselves out there for backlash and invited? But actually, I believe that we should all embody a kind of perspective that comes from the New Zealand All Blacks team. I read a book last year by the amazing James Kerr, which is phenomenal, all about the All Blacks rugby team. I've actually recorded an episode on it. You can go and listen to my highlights if you want. But they have this theory that after every game, they all sit in a circle and they call it being stabbed in the belly, not in the back. And they debrief the game. And that it's their opportunity. It's their one opportunity to say, oh my God, so-and-so missed that pass. Oh my goodness, so-and-so did that wrong. And after that is done, they don't talk about it again. It's their opportunity to air their grievances, to give constructive feedback, to support, to defend themselves, each other. And I really like that. I like that mentality. And so that's what I wanted to create in my own community, that ability to be free to say what you want and to be reassured that I'm not going to come down and go, oh my goodness, I can't believe all these selfish people, like how dare they be upset that I've closed this membership? How dare they be upset when I'm the one losing the money? Because that's not who I am. That's not how I run my business. It's not how I run my programs. And I wanted people to be able to give me their feedback. I wanted people to be able to express it, because do you know what? If it doesn't come out in my community, it's going to come out somewhere else. I've seen a lot of people close programs and memberships and courses and things like that over the years. And I've seen people who haven't, and they've just done other things. And people have gone out and they've taken great delight in talking about it behind the back. They wouldn't say it to their face. And one, that's not a very nice thing to do. But two, it also cultivates a culture of faux confidentiality and feeling like a bad person. Once you gossip about somebody, you feel really crap. And that's not what I wanted to create. I wanted people to be able to have that freedom to let me know how they felt. And do you know what? It was lovely. I finished the live stream and 2 people went live into the group to talk about their experiences of being a dotty, how they felt about it ending, how sad they were to see it transition into something new, but how excited they were about the final 3 months. And they said some really lovely things about working with me, which was lovely. There were numerous posts in the group, a particularly lovely one actually from a lady called Tara Louise. If you don't know her, look her up on Facebook. She is called The Word Professor. She's also a member of Evolve, which she shared. And she made a great point in her post. She said that, and I'm paraphrasing here, she wrote it much better because obviously she's very wordy, but she made the point that she'd followed me for years online. She'd followed me literally for years, and then Facebook algorithms sent everything screwy. She couldn't find my group anymore, and we lost touch. And then earlier this year, she found me on LinkedIn and we connected, and she asked for the name of my group and my free group. She came in there, she joined just before the Real Revolution or the Internet Evolution Challenge a few months ago. And she did the challenge, and afterwards she joined the Dotties immediately. And then a few weeks later, I launched Evolve, and she jumped in there straight away, no questions asked. And she made this great point that, your ideal clients are around. They are watching you. They are following you. They are going to be ready to buy from you if they're the right person and you're the right fit for them. And if they know what they want, they're just going to jump on in. And I thought that was something that was so important. And it just reminded me of everything that I'd done up to that point to cultivate somewhere like that, where people could share their honest opinions and thoughts and learns from what I was doing. I had numerous emails, which again, I massively appreciated, and Facebook messages. And, it was, despite being a very bittersweet experience, having to announce that I was ending something that's been such a big part of my business for so long. I couldn't have done it with better people. And I walked off the live stream a little bit snotty, a little bit cry, but ultimately happy with my decision, with the way that it had been delivered, with the fact that my audience could actually see the intention behind the decision and the fact that it was good intention, that it was going to be the best for them, even if it didn't feel like it right now. And then the weirdest thing was, so I get off the live stream and I go and pour myself a glass of wine with the intention to read a book. And I noticed an email ping into my inbox, and it was a lovely lady who had just, checked this out, joined the Dotties. And I thought, oh my goodness, this couldn't have been more ironic. The minute that I shut it down, people are joining. Also spoke to my team, was like, the sales page is still up. And so I had to, again, integrity. And I emailed, and I sent a really simple email that said, hey, look, I'm so glad that you've joined. I'm really excited. However, the situation is that I literally have just explained to the group that we're transitioning to a different model in September. And I outlined that for her and what that was going to look like. And I said, so it's up to you. You can choose to join in its current format, knowing that in September that's going to come to a close, or you can choose to have a refund, and I will do that for you. And she came back and sent a really lovely email and just said, no, do you know what? I want to be involved in it. The content has been amazing so far. And so she joined. And I'm really happy about that. I feel good in that decision. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. It's not a how-to episode. It's not, what can you do about it or what should you do about it? But it's more to say that you have to make the right decisions in your business for you, but also for your community. And you can't be afraid of a backlash when you are making those decisions. You have to make decisions for the right reason. You might not all be as lucky as I am to have a community that is, just phenomenal. I can't stress that enough. But the likelihood is that if you are selling in the right way, if you are working on your visibility in the right way, if you are really focusing on attracting the right people and treating them well and being as loyal to them as they are to you, that if there is something in your business you want to change, 9 times out of 10, they're going to support you with that. They're going to support you in that decision rather than berate you for doing it. And they're going to look up to you, and they're going to see you as the leader that you are for making a difficult decision and for showing them how to do it with empathy, with grace, and hopefully less snot than I managed. So hopefully that's been useful to you. If it has, I'd love for you to reach out on social media. As I explained to the Dotties, I'm going to be reviving my free Facebook group. Woo woo. So if you haven't been in there in a while, and I completely understand because I've done bugger all with it in about, 4 or 5 months, I'm going to be reviving that bad boy. Live streams are coming back. Networking is coming back. Connection is coming back to the Smart Leaders Sales Society on Facebook. Again, you can grab the link. It's in the show notes. So I will hopefully see you there. And like I say, if you are interested in making your first 5K month and you think, actually, Jess, I'd love a step-by-step roadmap on it, and I'd love to do some 6-week sprints with some really, really cool people, then make sure that you get yourself on that wait list in the show notes. It's really, really important. Get yourself on there and you will be eligible for the early bird price, which will be coming out. It will be the only time it will ever be that price. So make sure you jump in straight away. August, that's when it's coming. All right, my loves, I will see you in the next episode. We've got an awesome episode coming up on Friday that I am particularly excited about. It's an interesting discussion. All right, we're having interesting discussions this week, something that's different from the norm, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. So have an awesome week. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you reach out, make sure you give me your key takeaways in the free Facebook group, Smart Leaders Sales Society. I'll see you there.